Hi everybody, this is Got Sad. Second clip of the day. Just came across this on my Twitter feed. Let me just read you the article. This is in the Daily Caller. I'll share the link to the article. Biological male wins world championship in women's cycling. A biological male who identifies as a transgender woman won a women's world championship cycling event on Sunday. Rachel McKinnon, a professor at the College of Charleston, won the women's 35 to 39 age bracket at the 2018 UCI Masters Track Cycling World Championship in Los Angeles. McKinnon, representing Canada, bested Caroline van Herriehuizen of the Netherlands and American cyclist Jennifer Wagner to take home the gold. McKinnon celebrated the victory on Twitter, writing, "First transgender woman world champion, ever." Allowing biological males who identify as a transgender women to compete in women's athletic events has been a controversial subject, as critics have argued that it puts the female competitors at an inherent disadvantage. No. I mean, all the physiological, biological, and anatomical differences between men and women are complete social constructions, undoubtedly. McKinnon did not immediately return an email seeking comment for this article. McKinnon in January was quoted in USA Today arguing against requiring biological males to suppress testosterone as a requirement for competing against women. Testosterone is a social construct, bruh. Quote, "We cannot have a woman legally recognized as a trans woman in society and not be recognized that way in sports," McKinnon told USA Today. Quote, "Focusing on performance advantage is largely irrelevant because this is a rights issue. We shouldn't be worried about trans people taking over the Olympics. We should be worried about their fairness and human rights instead," close quotes. Yes, because the thousands of women who spend their lives training for a fair process whereby they compete against other biological women, that is not unfair to them. When a man, a biological man, no one is contesting the fact that this individual may have gender dysphoria and may genuinely feel that they are a biological male trapped inside a woman's or a woman trapped inside a biological male's body. No one is contesting the fact that these gender identity issues exist, and no one is questioning the fact that such people should not be discriminated against in endless domains of human import. But to argue that when it comes to the, if you like, the moral calculus that we should use, the moral and legal calculus, it is more unfair for this person to not be treated as a woman, more so than how unfair it is for the endless biological women who lose out to this person simply because that person decides to call themselves a woman. Remember, you don't have to have any sex change operation. You simply have to self-identify as a woman, and you're a woman. This is where we've gotten to. McKinnon also compared restrictions on biological males competing in women's events to racial segregation. I mean, it is breathtaking. Go back and watch my testimony in front of the Canadian Senate. Go back and watch those, quote, progressive, quote, liberal senators scoff and laugh and act like utter charlatans, like utter buffoons, like utter enemies of reasons, as a professor in the 21st century is trying to explain to them that there is such a thing as male and female, that humans are a sexually dimorphic species. It's insane. I'm left speechless. Quote, "This is bigger than sports and it's about human rights," McKinnon said to USA Today. Quote, "By catering to cisgender people's views, that furthers transgender people's oppression. When it comes to extending rights to a minority population, why would we ask the majority? I bet a lot of white people were pissed off when we desegregated sports racially and allowed black people, but they had to deal with it." Right. because that's a great analogy to compare the brutal and disgusting racism, institutionalized racism that existed in many countries, whereby simply, the melanin in your skin determined whether you drank from this fountain or that fountain, is no different than a man with a penis and testicles and all of the physiological, anatomical, biological, behavioral differences that are innate to a biological male in comparison to a woman. If that man decides that he's a woman and you don't then treat him as a woman, then that's just like slavery, bruh. Where will this end? Remember, during the testimony that I gave in front of the Canadian Senate, I offered the argument of the slippery slope. What comes next? Could I self-identify as, if I am 22, why can't I self-identify myself as a octogenarian and compete in the plus 80 years old competition? I mean, it doesn't matter what my biological age is. My biological age is as set biologically as whether I am male or female. You understand what I mean? And yet, why can't I self-identify as octogenarian? I mean, where does it end? It's insane. Again, this has nothing to do with supporting or not supporting trans rights. Let me reaffirm, and I shouldn't have to. Every single individual in a fair and just society deserves to live free of bigotry. Allowing biological men to compete in women's sports is not a manifestation of progressivism. It's not a manifestation of the removal of unfairness. If anything, it incorporates endless more unfairness, because for this guy's, quote, rights to be defended, the rights of innumerable women are violated. It is grotesque. Talk to you soon.